Hi everyone, I've just watched a video of Warren Buffett talking about the difference in investing in gold compared to investing in farmland in America or anywhere in the world. And I thought it was really interesting because we're raising investments for a dairy farm, Gulshan Farms, which you're aware of. And I had some interesting ideas that I wanted to share with you. But before I do that, I want you to watch this clip. So let's watch this together.
Well, the whole idea of investment is to lay out money to get more money back later on, right? And if you buy a farm or you buy an apartment house or you buy into a business, either one you own directly or one you own a piece of through stocks, you are buying into an asset that you expect to produce something later on. Now, if I buy a farm like I did 25 years ago in Nebraska, I bought a farm, 400 acres. I paid close to $700 an acre for it, and I looked to see how much it would get an estimate of how much corn it would produce per acre, how many soybeans, what I'd have to pay the tenant farmer, what the taxes would be, and I made an estimate of the income that I would receive from that farm. I didn't go out and get a quote on it, you know. I didn't turn on the farm channel, you know, every day to see whether it was raining or something that was good for my farm. Instead, I looked at the farm itself as to what it would produce. That's what I do in terms of stocks. Now, there are other kinds of assets that don't produce anything, but you count on them becoming more attractive to people next year or the year after. You're looking to the price change rather than the output of the investment. That's a whole different game. I mean, that if you buy, we'll say, art as an investment, and you pay $20 million for some painting, you know, you don't look for the painting to produce anything. You just, if you're looking at an investment, you just hope somebody else will like that painting even more a year from now or 2 years from now. You're betting on the price of the asset rather than the productivity of the asset. I like things where I look at the productivity of the asset. You know, I've used this example before, but if you take all of the gold in the world that's ever been produced, it comes to about 165,000 metric tons. Some people get excited just talking about that sort of thing. But if you put that all together in a cube, you would have a cube that's about 67 feet on a side. So we can take something maybe about the length of this hall here and have a cube like that, and that would be all the gold in the world. That gold at present prices is selling for $7 trillion. So that cube is a $7 trillion asset. Now, all of the stock market in the United States, I don't know the exact figure now, might be 20 trillion. So would you rather have a third of all of the businesses that exist in the United States, or would you rather have that cube to look at? That cube, if you take all of the farmland in the United States, there's about 1 billion acres of farmland. That's a little over 1.5 million square miles, about half of the continental United States. If you take all of the farmland in the United States, that 1 billion acres, you add in 7 Exxon Mobils, and then leave yourself $1 trillion for kind of walking around incidentals, that would be the value of that cube. Now, would I rather have that cube, 67 feet on each side of gold, or would I rather have all the farmland in the United States plus 7 Exxon Mobils plus $1 trillion to stick in my pocket? I think that's kind of an easy decision, but people like gold. When they get afraid of money, terrified of money, they run to gold, and then they hope somebody will pay more for it next year, because it isn't going to produce anything. That cube is just going to sit there and stare at you, you know. And you can go, if you own it, you can go and you can fondle it, you know, and you can sit on top of it and do whatever makes you feel good. But it isn't going to deliver anything good.
Okay, cool. So let me react to that video. So if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, where have you been? So Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors of all time. He started investing very, very young, and he's famous for certain ideas about investing, but one of his principal methodologies of investing or attitudes towards investing is that he believes in value investment. So basically he would analyze businesses for what they truly are. He reads everything he can about them, and he makes a judgment about whether the business is of actual value in his opinion or not. So he's also very famous for looking down on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and saying they're a complete farce. And fundamentally, the reason he believes that is because he thinks that cryptocurrencies don't do anything. And as I said, because he's a value investor, he's only interested in businesses or projects that actually bring value to the world. So in that, he's very interesting. He's quite a unique personality. So in terms of what we want to take from this video, the reason I shared it with you is because what Warren Buffett's talking about there is he's giving us an example of two different ways we might invest. So you've got some money and you're thinking about investing, and obviously the end goal of any investment is that you get out more than you put in. But most of us don't know the differences between two different investments and what they potentially can give us. So Warren Buffett's demonstrating here the difference between investing in gold and investing in something like farmland. All right, so when it comes to gold, he says that gold doesn't produce anything. And this is the key point here. He says that when you invest in gold, gold is, whether it's a block of gold or it's a little bit of gold, it's a finite physical quantity that you own and have ownership of that will never ever increase. You can put it in a safe and you can come back 5 years, 10 years later, it will be the same amount of grams. So it never increases its intrinsic worth. However, what you're expecting is I'm going to buy it today in 2024 and I'm expecting the value of gold historically has gone up, and in a few years time somebody will come along and pay me more than I paid for it. So the fundamentals of the business investment is that you're thinking I'm going to get more out than I put in because somebody else is going to be willing to pay for it more than I am. Okay? That's the key thing to understand about gold. When it comes to farmland, and Warren Buffett gives the example of farmland because he's an investor in farmland, and you might be aware that actually some of the greatest billionaires in the world today, including Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, own massive amounts of land in America. So what Warren Buffett says is the reason farmland is a good investment is because you can buy a certain amount of land, but unlike gold, which just sits there and does nothing, the land is a producer. It creates more than its net result is that you get land that actually gives you more than you paid for. So every year when it comes to land, as long as you harvest the land, you get crops, and those crops you can sell for additional profits. Not only is your land valuable, it's a producer. And for Warren Buffett, who looks at businesses in the same way, he says that that's why I invest in things that are producers rather than relying on the chance that somebody else will come in. So because regardless of if somebody else were to come in the future and buy your land for you at a higher price, which is again up to chance, you can always rely on selling what the land produces in order to make money. All right, so that's a very, very interesting idea. Now, how does that apply to Gulshan Farms? And the reason I wanted to mention this video is because I want to take Warren Buffett's analogy one step further. So he considers farmland an amazing investment because farmland produces crops and you can sell crops, etc. So it's a business. I think dairy farming, especially dairy farming in Pakistan, because of other factors that make it unique compared to lots of other places in the world, I think dairy farming by extension is an even better investment. Why? Like farmland, when you buy an animal like a cow, especially the pedigree cows that we own on Gulshan Farms, you are investing in an asset. So not only is the cow that you buy a producer in the sense that it produces milk, so that would be the direct analogy with the farmland, in that when you buy farmland, it produces crops. You buy an animal and it delivers milk, so you can sell the milk. On top of that, your actual asset, which has value, has great value, is now multiplying and quadrupling over the years. So one cow will turn into 5 cows in 5 years' time. So those 5 cows are now producing milk, and those 5 cows then go on to produce their own 5, and it goes on and on and on. So can you see why investing, number one, investing in something like that has value like a farm or like in dairy is more valuable than just investing in gold? But on top of that, can you see why it's so exciting to invest in dairy specifically? So to extend the analogy, just to put it really clearly, what we're saying is that the cow is the equivalent to land, but in land, the land will itself never grow. In this example, the cow that you're buying, which is the equivalent to the land, is itself increasing. How amazing is that? So I hope that was helpful to you. fundamentals of what I'm trying to say is that really consider investing in value investments, things that bring value to the world, number one. Number two, try and find those value investments which are producers, that when you buy them, they produce something that you can go and sell, like a cow can produce milk. And number three, compare what you're going. What about if the thing that's producing the thing that you're selling is giving birth to more and more like itself, so that you have exponential growth in your actual assets and the production that they produce? How amazing would that be? So if you're interested in investing in Gulshan Farms, please contact us. We are currently doing our final leg of our campaign. We've got a few shares remaining to sell, and I'm confident that if you've got the money and you've got the means, then this would be the best investment you'd probably ever make for your future. So I look forward to speaking to you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.